Hello, and welcome to episode 91 of the SheGulls Podcast, powered by Albion Obsessed, the one and only podcast dedicated to Brighton and Hove Albion women's football team. As always, I'm joined today by fellow Albion fans Ben. Hello, Ben.
Hello, Duncan.
By Claire. Hello, Claire.
Hello, Duncan.
And by Abby. Hello, Abby.
Hello, Duncan.
There we go. The awesome foursome are back as always. Just a minor heads up ahead of time. I had a few technical difficulties. We were still on time. We have these redundancies built in, But if the stream does have a problem or an issue at any point, we'll probably just keep going, and I'll upload the recorded section later on. So yeah, if there's any interruptions or anything for people watching live, or any issues, then we'll re-upload the video. But hopefully, I've turned everything back on. Turned everything off and turned it back on again, so hopefully we'll be good. Yes, so I think we may as well sort of jump into the topic at hand. Obviously, we had a game against Leicester on Sunday, and I wasn't there, so I think that's the main news. If it's one take, it's that I am some sort of jinx. So
you're not allowed to anymore.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. But I have already booked my ticket for Arsenal next week. So, although it feels like it's not necessarily me that's going to make us lose that game, but
something else.
it could just be a coincidence. We'll find out. So yes, but Claire and Abby were there, representing both themselves and SheGulls. So we do have some live reaction, and obviously myself and Ben. Ben, I assume you watched it in real time, and I watched it in double time. So lots of squeaky voices and sort of amusing running. It's a bit like Benny Hill in some ways.
It's quite funny. It's if the 1920s did football.
Yes,
because it's sort of like that fast. But as you see old newsreels of people racing through town. It's like that, because I very often watch the games on 1.5 speed. It's hilarious.
Yes,
I recommend it to anybody.
I debated 1.5 speed, and then I thought, do you know what? If I'm not gonna, it'll either need to be normal speed, or it might as well be just sped up. So I thought 3 times would be a bit over the top, but 2 times was okay. And obviously that means 45 minutes. So I managed to get it watched nice and quickly. So. Although obviously when the goal is scored ahead of time, you do have to fight the urge to sort of just skip a little bit. But no, I did sit through it all. So yeah, we're all up to date. But I think we may as well go to our 2 representatives who were actually at the game. So I'll start with Claire, and then we'll go to Abby. A 1-0 victory. I'm burying the lead, of course. Goal from Kiko Seiki. How did you find the game? How did you sort of come away from the game? Quite happy, or was it all about the result, or were there a few grumblings about how we may have been able to do a little bit better?
I think mostly we were grumbling about should have worn our thermal socks, but it was a bit chilly, a little bit cold. But yeah, no, it was great. It was. I think we fully expected to batter them. I did anyway, and we did to a certain extent. We just, as we all know, we don't have a dedicated striker, and it was difficult to get the ball in the back of the net. But I think had we had that player, we probably would have won that 5-6-0. It was that convincing, really. I don't think Leicester offered very much. They did quite well to defend a few times, but a lot of the time we were just rampaging through. I mean, Rosa, I think, had one of her best games. She was flying down the wing, and her and Fran and Kiko seemed to be working quite well there. She had a couple of chances again where, like you say, any other day she probably scores them. It's just bad luck. It doesn't go for her. She's really, really, selfless in passing the ball across to Kiko, who's free to whack it in and score. And it was just a shame we couldn't get another 1 or 2 just to, make it really, really convincing, because I think the stats were something ridiculous, like 60% in favour of us. So I got no complaints. We came away with 3 points, and that's all we want at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think we're probably this season, we're almost past the point of the performance. It's like, of course, you want to see him play well. And of course, don't want them to be passing chances up. But, you know, given the fact that our next 4 games are against 4 of the top 5 teams in the league, the result, you know, it'd be lovely to play great against these teams, but we have played against those teams and come away with absolutely zip all. So, you know, we obviously want to, you know, we've got on to 20 points now. We've gone 6th. Obviously, the kind of caveat to that is we've got to play all these good teams coming up, but you know, it will only take maybe another 2-3 points or one surprise win out of those or whatever, and that could keep us in 6th, because I know a lot of the other teams have got difficult run-ins as well. So you never really know, do you? How about you, Abby? How did you find it? Sort of similar to Claire, or was there any other things you noticed at the time?
Well, I think I need to spend most of the games now in the loo, because I went to the loo and we scored. So I didn't actually see the goal until I got home. I didn't see it until today, and I watched it on replay. So that was, you know, good fun. I just a little moan from me from the stadium. Again, very little in the way of gluten-free food. I had to spend quite a bit of time consoling Claire because they had stopped doing their Yorkshire pudding wrap, and something I think she's still in mourning for. And I don't know why Manchester City did the same thing, but there's a lot of clubs now that as soon as they get to the end of half time, they shut all the concessions. And when it is that cold and that wet and you just want a hot drink, to have shut the concessions at the moment the whistle goes for the second half is really frustrating.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was really good fun. It was a great game. At one point, I said to Claire, I was like, oh, this feels like the sort of game that we are going to have all the stats, all of the possession, all of the running, apart from the stat that makes the most sense, which is them scoring. Unfortunately, we got the goal and they didn't. We went to a big stadium and we won. Lovely. You know, that's something that's been very much missing last season. I think we are now getting better at. You know, we went to the Emirates and we only lost 1-0. And that was a very, very nearly a draw. If we'd have had Rosa and Michelle, that would have been a different story. And now we've gone to the King Power. I mean, it was very empty King Power, but we went to the King Power and we've come away with the win. So for me, that is, as well as everything else that was on the pitch, that is another thing we can go right tick. That's another big stadium we've been to and we've done very well at. We looked in control. We looked to have possession. I think it might have been, I don't know what, you know, Ben has to say about the officiating. I think there were some very, very odd decisions by the gentleman in black in the middle of the pitch. It was baffling at times. But it was great fun to see Dario get a yellow card and then Rick Passmore come over and go, never mind, mate, give him a slap on the back and sort of shake hands. Because, again, that was a bit, you know, Dario's just trying to get players on and then gets a yellow card. So, you know, it had everything, you know, really. It was good fun. But, yeah, it's a result. Barriers mean nothing to our team. And that's something you'll only understand if you were there. Because at the end, as per usual, Caitlin just made a beeline for little Un, who comes down to see her. And the stewards are all there going, oh, no, you cannot possibly, you know, move over this barrier. And Caitlin was like, well, I'm halfway gone, so there. Then Maisie vaulted over it. And then Dario came over. And the stewards are, you will not pass. And Dario's like, whatever.
Yeah, we will.
He went as well. So
we will be coming fast, yeah.
You know, there's some really, you know, really nice moments of it. But it was very cold. I don't care how many people in Leicester say that's the Midlands, it's the North, and it felt like it. It was much warmer back in Crawley when we got back at midnight.
It was.
Well, there you go. Speaking of warmer climes, Ben, how did you assess it, and what did you think of the refereeing performance, as Abby suggested?
Interesting. Well, I think as Claire said, the only thing missing really was goals, because we absolutely did batter them. They had, but they didn't have a single shot on target. I think there was only one time when I think Leicester looked like they might have got something. It's when Alicia Lehman got herself completely unmarked somehow, which was like, we'll look at that, shall we? But then she sort of squared it instead of shooting. She really should have scored that. I don't know why she didn't. But other than that, I mean, they just didn't I don't think we didn't let them. I think there's definitely a morale thing with Leicester now, because I think they know they're in trouble. Obviously Liverpool got a point. No, hang on. No, West Ham got a point. Sorry. So that's pulled them away a bit. So Leicester are kind of quite. They need 2 wins, which you can't see them getting. So they're looking at the playoff against the third placed team, and shoulders were down. I think Kaylee Green, our former legend. Sorry, Kaylee Barton. Sorry, that for a while. Kaylee Barton, our legendary forward player from a few years ago, was doing the co-coms, and she just sort of said Leicester just looked tired. But I think we sometimes we don't take advantage of that, and I think we really did. And I think again, it's that missing piece that we've been talking about all season. But we got more than them, which is good. But it would have been nice to have got a few more than them. But otherwise, I just couldn't really fault the performance. It's hard pressed for even to find a mistake anybody made. I suppose only just letting Alicia Lehman run through unmarked was one thing in the first half, but that was about the only sort of thing you could criticise anybody for. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, the ref, I don't know. I didn't particularly think sort of howlers in terms of not giving fouls or make the decisions, but I think he was really inconsistent with his yellow cards.
That was what I was going to say. I thought the same. Yeah.
Because he booked Maisie for taking, I think it was Hannah Kane from behind, very similarly to the way Linari did on Maddie when we had that big argument that we still haven't sorted out about whether or not that should have been a penalty against LCL. But basically, Maisie got the ball, but she went through, I think it was Hannah Kane, to get it, so which you can't do. So that was a yellow card. But there were lots of, on both sides, lots of the sort of taking one for the team fouls, and he was sort of booking every third one or something like that, which is really strange. I thought, right at the end, I think it was Hannah Kane again, right at the end did it to somebody. And it was like so blatant and so whatever. And it was like, he gave the free kick and it's like, hang on, why is that not, when you booked Maddie for the same thing, a little while ago, why? So that was the main thing, really. I think that might have been what Dario was complaining about, because I think between us at one point, we were thinking he'd lost his cards after he'd booked Maisie. But otherwise, I thought it was kind of
Oh, we've lost Ben.
Oh dear.
Are we three still here?
We're here. I'm here.
I need to recenter myself.
There we
go.
go.
There we go. I've moved into Ben position.
Oh, hang on, he's back.
He's back again.
He's back. There we go. There we go.
I don't know what was...
You just dropped out for a minute. It wasn't me that time.
We took one for the team and we kicked you out.
I know everyone moved around.
But I think broadly he was kind of okay. But I think he didn't really have any huge decisions to make, because I think we were just all over them and we thrashed them. And as I said, the only thing missing was a bigger number on the right hand side of the scoreboard. Because we had 15 shots, 7 on target. They had 5 shots in the entire game, and none of them were on target.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. We had 62.5% possession, which is basically all of it, really, because they got the ball and we just took it back off them.
I think
then we were sort of running straight into them.
I think other than catching a corner, I don't think Chia really had much to do. She
did
more work from balls being passed back to her from her own players than she did from anything else. It was you didn't even need to wash her kit. I mean, it was
worth a lot of money.
I was sort of helpfully sort of trying to keep you guys updated on WhatsApp at what was going on, because it was the entire first half was played like 100 yards away.
It wasn't way up
there. That was close, because obviously Caitlin had that header in the first 10 minutes or something. An absolute bullet header met a Fran corner, and basically Janina Leitzig was standing in the right place, and it sort of basically hit her. I don't think so. You'd be flattering her to call it a save. Maybe she's sort of moved her hand a bit, but bullet header from point blank range. Anywhere else that's going in, so that's a bit of a shame in a way. But I think there were a few bits and bobs. That was close from Kiko. That was I better tell them about that, because they probably didn't see it.
I think it was very noticeable that how much we miss Kiko when she's not there.
Yeah,
because she was in and amongst it all, and yeah, she could have had a hat trick easily if she'd have been just a little bit luckier. You know, and a couple of nice little flicks and things. I mean, that's doing that was really.
I think the
showing.
Kaylee Barton gave Rosa the player of the match.
Me
and
too.
The fan vote was for Caitlin.
Yeah,
I think that's the most Kirby I've seen Fran for a long time. She was, I suppose, because everybody around her was doing what she wanted most of the time, which is how we.
She had lots of space, I think, and she was able to sort of sit back in that sort of number 10 spot and just direct things.
Yeah,
everybody else was doing all the running around, and Rosa and Kiko were making sure they were in the positions to, when the diagonal ball came in, they were getting it and they were there. So it worked really well.
Yeah, I thought, I mean, I think I said a lot of these things on, you know, if anyone did happen to catch my appearance on For Fox's Sake, which is a brilliant name is for a podcast. Maybe not as good as SheGulls, I don't know. We'll have to have that debate another time. But I was sort of saying the fact is we're kind of both, neither team has really like a striker, a proper striker. And I think that really told. What I would say is that we have more in our attack. We have more alternative options than Leicester. Not a lot of alternative options, mainly Kiko, but she's the one who scored, right?
Yeah.
So that just even that difference of neither of us having a recognised striker, but our sort of secondary attack, our sort of winger, our other forward is very good, was enough to nick that game essentially. You know, in that one sort of moment of clarity. And it was, again, another thing that we've said about having that composure. Obviously, it's a really good ball by Fran. It's obviously something they've worked on because it was very similar to the goal sort of Kiko scored against West Ham. But this time it goes to Rosa. And then instead of what I'm sure she probably wanted to do, which was just leather it towards the goal, she just very, you know, sort of deftly side foots it to the side of her and the goalkeeper where Kiko's waiting to tap it in. And I think again that's what we're looking for from Brighton that we see in other teams. You know, we spoke about Chelsea before where Thompson, the ball's pinging around and it's Thompson who just has that split second to lay it off to Potter and she scores. You know, we need to see more of that from our team. And I think, you know, once we do have more of a focal point as a striker, then you might have Kiko laying it off to that player more often and stuff like that. Whereas obviously Kiko kind of she has to do sort of multiple jobs because, as Dario said, she's really our only winger. She's really our only sort of goal scorer, I would say. So, you know, that almost felt like the difference was that Rosa had a good game and she is an attacker. You know, in a sense, she's not a prolific goal scorer, but she's an attacker. Kirby had a good game, so essentially, you know, three of our biggest threats, beyond the fact we don't have a striker, played really well, and it just felt like that was the difference. They didn't have that kind of 2 or 3 player, you know, forward line who were able to come up with something or have that moment of composure. Exactly like you said, Ben. You know, Lehman maybe should have laid it across and it would have gone to, you know, they might have had a better opportunity to score, but she doesn't. And that's the difference, you know, at the end of the day is having that sort of little bit of extra, you know, footballing intelligence and also having players with you. You know, sometimes you're going to break through, you might want to square it and there's no one to square it to, you know, so it's great that, you know, the ball from Fran to Rosa's great, the touch from Rosa's great, and then also Kiko's in the right place. Otherwise, Rosa would have been laying it off to thin air, or she probably would have had to shoot, and then it hits Leitzig and goes wide or whatever. So, you know, I think that was the goal was really positive, but you could definitely sense that both teams were quite toothless. You know, it was sort of getting up to the penalty box and then it would get intercepted. Or I did think our passing was a bit better. I don't know if anyone wants to come in on that, but I thought our sort of build-up play up until the last ball, I didn't notice quite so many of these weird like passes where you thought, who the hell was that to?
Yeah,
like it felt a little bit better. I mean, Abby, would you agree with me on that?
Yeah, mostly because I didn't spend most of the match going, who the heck was that going to? Which is what against Liverpool, and Claire will attest to that because she sits in front of me and I sort of grip hold and I'm like, who was that to? So I didn't spend most of the time doing that. I think that also just links into a comment that Tim put on the in the chat, is that after Fran vented last week, seemingly, that this week her Rosa and Kiko seem to work much better. Now, potentially that is, comparing Liverpool to Leicester. And I don't know if you saw the post-match interview with one of the Leicester players.
No.
I've never wanted to reach into a television and hug a player so much in my life. She looked utterly dejected. Just because their next home game is against Chelsea, and Chelsea have got everything to fight for. And they've got, I think they've got quite a tough, and they've got LCL coming up, and I think they've got some time. And she just looked utterly bereft. And I think that potentially had, even though Leicester are fighting, I think you can just see it in them that they're sort of really realizing that other teams around them are improving and doing better, and they're not.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yes, I think our passing, the passing question, yes, I think we were better this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it makes a lot of difference. But yeah, exactly like you say, it's anecdotal, but it does resonate when you think, oh, I normally I'm sitting there going, oh, why don't we do this?
Yeah.
Or like you say, who was that to, and so on and so forth. So if you don't have a game where it's like that, it kind of, you go, oh, okay, we must have done something good then. Ben, on sort of Leicester, do you think that there's any chance that they can catch West Ham up, or is it basically start preparing for that playoff game ASAP?
I think it almost is a case then. I mean, it's like I said, they're 4 points, and actually the goal differences are quite similar. Well, Leicester have only scored 9.
Yeah, they said that on the comms, didn't they? Yeah, it's crazy.
So, they've got to win 2 games basically. And let's just have a quick look. I don't know what their running is like. I mean, they've presumably got to play some people.
Yeah, I think Abby's right.
LCL next, I think, and then Chelsea, I think. And
then I think the third one is another toughie, but I could be wrong.
LCL, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Everton.
Yeah,
you could. You could almost see them getting something at Everton.
If Everton are safe, then yeah, they could potentially.
And LCL. I mean, I watched West Ham against LCL yesterday, and oh dear, that was one of those games where some wag in the comments go, and they want equal pay, because it was the worst game of football I think I've ever seen.
I think that's the frustrating thing for me, with us, is that those 2 teams they're not very good, and we have struggled.
They both beat us,
and
they both beat us last month.
Yeah, I mean, I think Leicester, one of the games Leicester won actually was against LCL, so I think they were sort of hopeful they might be able to get something. But I think the thing is, they were, if you're looking at trying to get 2 wins, you sort of think, well, even if we got 1 win and cobbled together some draws, but the draws that you would have earmarked probably would have been against the likes of us, LCL, Everton. Yeah. So if you then are playing those games and you don't win them, you sort of think, well, then where are the rest of the points coming from? So now LCL's gone from we could possibly draw and then beat Everton and give ourselves a hope, but now they can't. They've got to beat LCL, and they would have to beat Everton.
Well, I suppose. I mean, it's the sort of minute goal difference, I think, because West Ham have got Liverpool away, Villa away, and then they finish it with Man City at home, and you could see them losing all 3 of those.
You could.
They'd be doing us a favour if they beat Liverpool and Villa, obviously.
Yeah.
But so Leicester potentially could get away with a win and a draw, which they might get. But again, I think that performance yesterday, the heads were down a lot, and they just sort of sunk to the ground at the final whistle and just looked really dejected. So, you almost do have to basically just show them lots of videos of Palace games this season now, I think, because that's what they are. Yeah, that's
it's going to be someone like
what they've got to hope for.
Claire, interesting question from Tim in the comments. There's a couple of questions actually, but I'll talk about the one to do with Rosa first, because obviously that relates to this game. Tim's saying that he would be keen for Rosa to stay on a permanent deal unless we had a better, or we could find a better replacement, and he thinks she's really grown on us. Would you agree with that, or do you think part of that could be the fact that obviously she's had a bit of recency bias and a bit of Leicester bias, i.e.,
maybe. I mean, I think that's my opinion on every player. To be fair, they can all stay unless we can get someone better, and if we can get someone better, they can all go. I don't have any. I love them while they're playing in our shirt, but it's football. It's a sport. It's a business, and at some point they will all move on. Whether that's because they retire because they've been here their entire career, or they go off somewhere else. I like Rosa. I think at the start of the season, I think she showed a lot of promise, and I think last couple of games she showed a lot of promise. Somewhere in the middle, she lost confidence, and if she's getting her confidence back, and we see this in the next, we've got 4 more games left. If she plays in the next 4 games and she plays like she did against Leicester, absolutely, I'd want to sign her, because I think that would be a great addition to our squad. If she goes back off the boil again, then I would say no, because I don't think we are in a position to have vanity players that look good on paper but aren't doing it every single game. If you want to be up there in the top 5, top 6, you've got to have a fantastic squad, and it's got to be doing it every single game. Every single player should be willing, ready and able to come in and take the place of the person that's going off. I think she's got that. It's just whether or not she can keep her confidence up for she knows that, and she does it. And she turns up and plays. Because I think, yesterday and against Liverpool, I thought there were 2 of her better games, other than the first couple when she did really well against, I think it was at West Ham, and she got a goal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think she's done really, really well, and she's been pretty unlucky not to have a couple of goals. So if they come, but it's annoying now because obviously she won't play on Sunday, which is
no, of course she'll be won't be able to play against their parents. Yeah.
It'd be nice to have her on a permanent deal so she could play against Arsenal.
Well,
I'm not a fan of loan moves in the WSL. I don't think the game is benefiting from a loan move. All it benefits is the top 4 teams who are loaning the players out. It doesn't benefit anyone else, really. So I
suppose it depends as well how because obviously she signed a long-term contract with Arsenal, whatever that means. And obviously, this is her second season with Arsenal, as it were. So she's presumably got at least one left, and so it depends how much money Arsenal would want for her. And I suppose the fact that she didn't play very much when she was there last season, and they sent her out on loan, maybe they've got to start. They might want to make room in the squad for some more players coming in or something. So they might want rid. So. Some negotiating skills. We're not going to pay $1 million for her, but we might pay a couple 100,000 or something. You never know.
I mean, I think Arsenal will have a proper clear out this season. I think there'll be a lot of players go that maybe their fans are not expecting will leave. But if they are serious about winning the league and winning the Champions League again, they need to have a squad that befits that, and they don't have that, because otherwise they wouldn't be sitting in 4th. So.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that if they do have a clear out, there might be more room for Rosa if she does well for us. That's the other thing is, this is one of the issues with loan players is if they do well for you, the club just have them back, and if they don't, but you want them in the first place. So it's
you sort of look at who plays in the Arsenal squad in Rosa's position. Are they players?
I don't even really know what her best position is.
Exactly. So
I don't know if she knows.
If we don't know after a season of her being with us, then probably Arsenal don't know. And
I suppose
they might keep her as a sort of a backup player, but does she want that? Who knows?
Forwards-wise, they've got Liv Smith, Chloe Kelly, that sort of thing. Obviously, she's not there to replace Leslie Russo or Barndor Blackstone, is she? So. It's it's one of those forwards, and obviously Mido is supposed to be leaving, isn't she? But But, I don't know. If she didn't fit last season, I don't really see where she'd fit this season, next season even. So
my personal opinion on it is it needs to be. It's down to our style of play. To me, she's not a winger, and when she's out wide on the flanks, I'd almost rather have Bex. But when we play a high line and we play a lot of the game in the opposition's half, like we did against Leicester, that's where she's really good. Because she's not having to leg it back and forth, and do all the running, because she's not that quick. She can't take it. She's been through on goal a couple of times before, and the defender just catches her up really quickly. That's not really her game. And I think the trouble is when a lot of the time, when I've seen her at the Broadfield, she's stuck out on the wing and she's sort of waiting for the ball. But then as soon as the ball comes out to her, it ends up going back to the defense and stuff. And you get in that sort of, and that doesn't help anyone really, because Rosa can't show what she can do because she's playing with her back to goal, on the halfway line, which is not her game.
I mean, and then yesterday she spent a lot of the time on the right wing, and she was hanging around waiting for the ball.
But on the
right
wing,
ball was coming through. That's the point.
In
the ball was
third of the pitch, though.
Mostly she was in their half, but it was more to do with, like say, Fran getting the ball through on those diagonal balls. It wasn't a straight down the wing and she had to run with it. They were slotted through to her and she was running onto them. Yeah,
which is more like a sort of a left forward or a left striker or left and right striker, as opposed to like a wide midfielder or a, she's not a Kiko who's going to run that channel really. No. She can't. She's not quick enough. So there's no point in pumping the balls over the top to her like we do with Kiko, because she just gets caught up. She needs balls to feet. She needs these, a pass like Fran gave her on the weekend stuff. That's where she shines. And I think that's where they need to make a decision, if she even is available, and depending on how much she costs, because I think if we're talking 200, 300,000, I think there's other players that would suit us better. I think if we're talking 100,000 or less, then you take a flyer on the basis of she's been here a year. She could do a Kiko and kind of kick on second year, bit more confidence. But I just think, like, in certain games where she's played well, it's because we've played to her strengths. But then when we don't play to her strengths, she goes missing.
Yeah.
And that's where the sort of luxury thing comes in. So, I think, again, like you guys have all said, it comes down to a multitude of factors. How much it costs. Do Arsenal want to sell her? Are any other clubs interested? How long has she got left on her deal there? I know she's not out of contract this summer, so she must have at least a year. But the thing is, when they brought her, obviously she's quite young. So I think she was on a fairly lengthy contract. If it was 3 years, it would have a year left, I would guess. But if it was 4, it would be a bit longer. Because we're talking about a player that up until, she had a season at Arsenal and then she's been on loan to us this season, we've said before, was considered, one of the top talents in Europe. So, I guess it's all just, I don't think anyone would mind her continuing to play for the Albion or joining the Albion. It's just got to be at the right terms, I would say, for both her and for us, if she wants to play lots of games and we sort of say, well, we're going to rotate you with so-and-so, then it would be better if she went somewhere else for her own benefit, so we shall see. But I did want to sort of go around the, round the room and talk a bit about the defence. So, Abby, would you like to sort of give us the lowdown on what you thought of the defence? And obviously, Caitlin, like they got manager at player of the.
That's very impressive.
Yeah, she also manages the team as well. It wasn't the one awarded by the commentary team. It was the one voted for by the fans, wasn't it? Yes, because I sometimes get them confused. But yeah, she won the one awarded by the fans. So the fans obviously thought she had a very good game, but also obviously Minami coming back in. So yeah, give us what you thought of the defence, from what was posed to them by Leicester.
Again, it's very difficult to gauge because what was presented by Leicester was Alicia Lehman a couple of times, and that was it.
Yeah.
But they did very well. We got a clean sheet, and like you said, Chia did very little throughout that game. I think she had to wake herself up a couple of times while wandering to the halfway line just to see what was going on, see if the game was still going. We're still playing, right? Lovely. I'll stay on the pitch then. Caitlin was brilliant. I think she really, did what Claire's always said. She's been given a chance in the team, and she's taken it with both hands and both feet, and her head a few times. She's really sort of thrown herself in. And I think she's, really sort of set her stall out to be, part of that defence next season. I thought we were going to miss Manu Venegas a lot more than we did. I'm not sure why she wasn't in the squad, but she wasn't. I don't even know if she travelled with the team, because when the team arrived, we were having coffee because it was cold. So I don't even know if she was there, but I miss her because I think she's just become a real, stalwart of the defence. But other than that, they look very solid. They look like a really good unit together, which is what you need. Yes, you need standout players, but majoritively for the defence, you want them to be together as a unit. And it's great that she's, we've been able to, Charlie's not been there, Moeka's not been there, Caitlin's just stepped in and looked like she's been there and has, set her stall out to be, part of that defence going forwards. And I think that, for all that we can say, we haven't got a striker and, the someone's dropped a ball somewhere, pardon the pun, with that part of the team, actually, we've done really, really well shoring up at the back. And we, some of the games we've lost, we've only lost by 1 goal. And last year we would have lost by 400, 500, whatever. So that's really, as much as we missed the players we lost last year, we have massively improved. And I thought it was, a lot better. And Caitlin just stood out yesterday for all the right reasons, which was nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Ben, do you think she perhaps, especially, I know the Chelsea game, Dario picked out a couple of things that he wasn't massively happy about. I don't think it was necessarily all her fault, but he did mention her for the first goal. But I think, would you say that kind of her performances in the last couple of games since then have possibly elevated her to the point where if we're not going to go to a back three, she probably is the preferred choice now over Charlie? Or do you think once Charlie's, reacclimated to the UK, as it were, she'll come back in for Caitlin?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say, isn't it? Because it's that sort of, I suppose, Dario's got a headache at both ends of the pitch. He's got too many really good defenders who are now, basically, they're all at the moment. I mean, it was quite surprised to see Manu missing, wasn't it? It was kind of, where's she gone? Where's she gone? And I've sort of going back through the Instagram posts, sort of all the arrivals pictures, the little arrivals videos and things, and I didn't see her on there. So, but she was in the training galleries towards the end of the week. So, maybe she picked up a knock late on in training, or maybe she was a bit under the weather and didn't travel or something. Don't know. But yeah, I think, we've, apart from Manu, touch wood, she's not going to be out for long. Our entire defence is now fit, and we've kind of got too many really good defenders. And it is just a question, he's sort of scraping around trying to find somebody to play up front, but he's scraping around trying to find somebody who doesn't want to play in defence. So yeah, it's difficult. I think she played amazingly in the first part of the season, before Manu was fit again, when she was still recovering from ACL. And Manu's played so well since she came into the side that it's difficult to kick her out again, which is why Caitlin hadn't played the first few games of the year. Although it was only like 3 games, I think. It was a long time because of all the international breaks and stuff. But
yeah, that's
I think she only missed about three games maybe. But yeah, I mean, it's one of the great things about, because you do hear them sort of shouting to each other and stuff, but you just constantly hear this sort of greater Manchester accent going up, constantly as she sort of. And again, she's controlling the defence and the line and that kind of stuff. and woe-betide anybody that isn't in line with her or ahead of her or whatever when the ball comes through. So yeah, it's difficult. Obviously, Moeka was Moeka again. I mean, she was also immense, and again, I think they were breaking the lines a bit as well. Sort of coming through and intercepting the ball and keeping going, which we quite often see Manu do, but not usually many of the other centre backs. So yeah, it's a nice headache for Dario, as it were. Just to, if Manu's fit again next weekend, who's he leaving out? Because Charlie's there as well, and obviously Maëlys is fit, and Dario was telling you, wasn't he, how excited we should be about Maëlys playing more regularly. And Barrett's fit as well, and Barrett slots in, and I wish we'd seen more of Barrett over the last couple of seasons, because what we do see is really good as well. So it's you have to start basically just leaving out some of the midfielders or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because I think obviously the temptation is, when you've got a lot of good centre backs, would probably be to revert to three at the back. But then you're then asking, two players who have been playing at fullback to, revert to sort of 3 or 4 months ago, quite honestly, and start playing as wing backs again.
Yeah.
It's a big
you find yourself with a sort of a surfeit of wing backs as well, because we've got on the right hand side. I mean, is Charlie a centre back? Is she a right back? You've got say for instance, you had Caitlin and Moeka and Manu in the middle, and Mo Ollislager's on the left because she's the left-footed one, and then on the right-hand side you've got Rachel McLaughlin, Maëlys Mpome, and Charlie Roux and Merritt Away. So it's sort of, I think there's probably certain ones that would come in ahead of others in Dario's mind, but there's still too many. But I think we almost felt that at the beginning of the year, didn't we? We were sort of signing all these people, and it's like, oh, another one, oh, another defender, oh, another one, there's another defender.
Yeah, although
when's the striker coming?
Somewhat ironically, I suppose it has kind of worked up until now, because there's always been someone who's either been injured or away. Obviously we had the Asian Cup and stuff, so I don't recall really. And obviously, like you said, Manu was injured at the beginning of the season. Caitlin, I think, came back with a knock at the beginning of the season, and then she came back in. So that's Abby's chair.
Wow. Mute that chair, Abby.
That's
stop moving.
It's not my hit. Don't worry. It sort of felt like someone or other's been out, so that we've kind of been like, oh, thank goodness so and so's back, because now someone else is out. Whereas like now they've, except Manu, who just mysteriously, dropped off the team bus by the sound of it. Other than her, they're all fit. So now we suddenly have got, abundance of riches back there. So, yeah. I wonder if we could just play 4 centre backs and just play them very narrow.
Well, I mean,
to link arms or something, and just, just do
if we've got sort of, Caitlin and Charlie and Maëlys and Merritt and Moeka, we've got the tallest defence in the world, I think, let alone in the WSL. No one's. I suppose that's Caitlin's big strength, isn't it? The high balls coming in. I suppose that would be the big decision with Arsenal: is does he think that Arsenal are going to be pumping high balls into the box? Which, Leslie Rousseau is quite an aerial threat these days, as is Sina Vlaxtenis. So maybe they will. So maybe he'd sort of leave Caitlin in there because she's better in the air than Manu or whoever. So possible.
Yeah, we shall see. Any other comments on the Leicester match before we move in? Anyone notice anything weird or? Obviously, go on, Ben.
No, I was going to say there was one thing. I mean, I've moaned about this pretty much every week since 1974, but the goalkeeper timeout.
Oh yeah.
Right? You need to know this is why. Well, this is not the only reason, but this is why they're ruining everything for everybody else, because the little goalkeeper that cried wolf, right? Yeah, Leipzig goes down. We know she's just having a timeout. Giving them giving Rick Passmore a chance to speak to the team, etc. 20 minutes, set your watch by it, that sort of thing. Because some goalkeepers, I mean, like Fallon Tellis Joyce quite often does both halves if they're not doing that great. But so whenever a goalkeeper goes down, no matter when it is, but especially if it's on around 20 odd minutes or if it's around 70 odd minutes, everybody knows they've just sat down because the manager wants team talk. Yesterday, again, was it yesterday? No, yes, it was yesterday. Chelsea hosted Aston Villa. On 74 minutes, Chastity Grant went down with an injury, holding a leg, and the crowd were just on her back straight away. And it turned out that actually she was hurt because she got subbed. And then almost the next minute, Ellie Roebuck goes down with a tight hamstring or something like that. And again, it's 75 minutes. Obviously, she just time wasting or whatever. But actually, she had an injury and she was subbed. So, Ellie Roebuck, I like Ellie Roebuck. She's a great goalkeeper, lovely girl, I'm sure, and it's obviously one of England's finest and that kind of stuff. And she is getting abuse because it was right in front of the Chelsea sort of home sort of terrace. She's getting all sorts of grief from the Chelsea fans, where actually she is genuinely injured. But she's getting that grief because everybody knows that she isn't, but actually she is. Because all these goalkeepers have been crying wolf all these years and pretending to be injured, and then when one is, it's like a bit like Olivia Smith at the Amex last year.
That's exactly what basically I was going to say. Anyone basically wafted a gust of wind in her direction, and she was going down for 10 minutes treatment. And when she finally was actually probably hurt by that sort of, we were all like, get up
from Poppy. We'd lost patience with her, haven't we?
Yeah.
So that's again, it's obviously the whole spectre of sort of simulation of the game, but specifically the goalkeeper timeout. When a goalkeeper genuinely is injured, like Ellie Roebuck was, she gets loads of abuse from the fans.
Yeah.
So there you go. You need her. Stop it.
Clara, I want to hear about what you had instead of your Yorkshire pudding wrap. Because,
no, you don't. You don't.
That bad, was it?
It was horrible. It was horrible. Really, I mean, just disappointed completely. I'd spent my whole weekend, telling everybody they were going to look forward to this. We took 2 friends with us, one of which had never been to a game before. Everyone was up for it. Every single person arriving behind me in the queue was like, "What are you talking about? There's no Yorkshire wrap," because they've heard me talking about it and talking it up. And all it had, I tell you what it was like. It was like going to a shit cinema. They had some hot dogs, they had pies, and they had sausage rolls, and then everything else was just like crisps and chocolate. It was rubbish. Couldn't even get a portion of chips. Nothing. Yeah. Just rubbish. But we had a lovely night out in the evening elsewhere, so that was nice.
Yeah, you'd think. I mean, in a place like Leicester, they'd have, you'd get some really good sort of.
You would think. I went for the
curries or whatever, wouldn't you?
Because I thought that'd be nice. It had a strange smell of. It had like a bit of an aroma of like curry with bleach, that sort of smell. Wasn't that great? But I was hungry, so I ate it. It wasn't hot. It was kind of warm.
At least,
just really disappointed. So I think Leicester are clearly having a terrible season in all departments. So
they're getting relegated to. They're getting ready to be relegated.
Well, this is what happens. You see, the men's game, they got relegated last season or the season before, didn't they? And then it's all just gone downhill from there. So they
look like they're getting relegated out of the Championship this year as well.
Wow.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah.
There's clearly. I wouldn't be surprised if you see somebody coming in and buying them at some point because there's clearly something not right there. The way that they're being run, it's. But I don't have to worry. I'm not a Foxes fan, so there you go.
That's true. That is very true. Yeah. I've heard from
they're in the bottom 3. They're only a point behind Pompey, but
there you go. I've heard from some of the Leicester City fans that they go for a breakfast at, I think it's the Holiday Inn or the Premier Inn Express before they go into the stadium.
That's where we went for a coffee.
Yeah,
and that was very nice.
I mean, it was all right. You had yours black. I had a machine coffee. It's a machine coffee, so you get what you pay for. And
there is method in my madness. It's not difficult. It's you do have to try hard to mess up black coffee. The manager took the Broadfield somehow, but most places can manage a black coffee.
But they were very, very nice, very accommodating. They invited us in and let us sit there and make cups of coffee or drink cups of coffee and stuff. So it was fine, but it's very disappointing on the food front.
Yeah, there you go.
Everything about the Leicester City experience this year was
a downgrade,
just down from last year. Last year, I remember that there was a really good, sort of fan zone outside, and they did have a little tent for doing swaps. I mean, we went in very early, so it might have improved once we'd sort of gone in. And I understand that there was quite a heated battle of table football between some of our supporters. But that was a lot smaller than it was last year. The concessions were smaller and not as good as the year before, so it all just felt a little bit just a little bit smaller, quieter, poorer than the year before, which is very sad to see for the fans, because the ones that were there were trying their hardest to sort of G the team along, but it was just sort of like sad to see from a football club.
Yeah. Well, there you go. We went and we got our 3 points and we scarpered out of there as quickly as we could by the sound of it. So there we go.
Actually, the other interesting thing, I suppose, is that obviously they're wearing the pale purple kit, which is very, very nice. But they didn't wear it at Chelsea, and I sort of wondered, had they sort of gone off it in a sort of I don't know the colour, but in a sort of, I remember the grey kits of the mid 90s when Man United sort of couldn't see each other when they were playing against Southampton. So it
was under the lights, maybe at night.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, whether the purple's difficult to see under the lights. So they wore yellow at Chelsea because it was a night game, and then because it was a daylight game at Leicester. So, so nice to see the purple kit back. I was a bit worried we weren't going to see it again.
Yeah, that's true. I think there was a bit of a thing for a while with the men's team that they were like a bit of a jinx. So I don't know whether that's been overcome for the men's team, but I think that one of the difficulties they're having with it is because it is very pale. I think the league is, even with if the other team are playing in white, the league is saying it's too. Like you can't differentiate it enough to see that it's definitely someone from the other team. So I think that's where they're having a few problems, and that's why you're probably seeing the yellow kit more than the purple, even though the yellow is the third, is because it just no one else really has a yellow kit other than like Watford, who we don't ever play. One or two others, Burton maybe, I think have yellow, but not any of the other sort of Premier League clubs have or WSL clubs have. But
then if they wear yellow, then we don't need to wear yellow. We wear our blue and white.
Exactly. We've got alternatives.
Again, last season, the black and green was the third kit, and they didn't wear it all season.
No.
Because there was nowhere that clashed with both blue and white or yellow. But this year, obviously, Man City away, we had to wear yellow, and Tottenham away, and London City as well. So anyway, so nice to see the purple. It's
definitely
nice, that kit.
Definitely. I don't know what we'll be wearing. We're going to go on to have a little chat about the upcoming game in the FA Cup against Arsenal on the weekend. I think it might just be me and Claire who are going to that one at the moment. So again, SheGulls will have boots on the ground as we always do. I don't know what colour we'll be wearing for that. That'd be an interesting one. Because they'll be in the red and white, I assume. So I don't know what
they wore purple at the Emirates, didn't they?
There we go then. So maybe it will be purple again. So
it's funny. There's no clash with the blue and white, so you don't have to change kits. So, but they kind of like to. It's a bit strange, really, in a way.
That's very true. Let's start with Abby on this one, I think, and then we'll come back to myself and Claire as we're going to be on the road for that one. Abby, what do you think our chances are against Arsenal on the weekend at, let's not forget, Boreham Wood, not the Emirates. So just in case anyone's listening to this in advance and thinks they're going to the Emirates, remember it's not at the Emirates. So yes, don't go there. It's at Boreham Wood. How do you sort of think our chances? Is it a bit of a, I dare to say, free hit, but is it just we've just got to give it a go, and if we win 1-0 or lose 5-0,
absolutely. I mean, it's a must-win game, so you don't get anything for drawing or losing or whatever. It is a winning in, and if you lose, that's the end of the road. So we have got to go and to quote Mother, have a go, and give it to them. We showed at the Emirates that we can keep up with them. It was a much closer game than I think anybody thought. We showed at Chelsea we can keep up with the bigger teams. Yes, we've gone away to Man City, lost by a goal. Same at Chelsea. It's just a single goal difference here, and the same with Arsenal. So it's not like they've smacked us around. We have been there or thereabouts. So and let's remember with Arsenal, it was I think was it Marissa who scored the own goal at Arsenal.
Yeah.
So they didn't even score against us. We had to do it for them. So I think it is winnable. I think a lot depends on what happens on Wednesday night with the Champions League, because I don't think Arsenal are all that fussed about the FA Cup. I think they are very fussed about the Champions League. And I think they are very fussed about the WSL. So whether they will look at it and go, we will commit everything to Wednesday night to secure Champions League against Chelsea, and then whoever's sort of fit for Sunday. We, on the other hand, have now got a week to prepare. And, most of the team are well, apart from, Manu and a couple of, others that we know about, most of the team are fit and ready to go. Yes, we're not going to have Rosa, but that's just an opportunity for other people to step up. We do have Bex. We do have Carla. I think we can get something out of the game. I really do, because we are going into international break after that. And, it's a real time for us to sort of set out that we can keep up with the so-called bigger teams. I think this win, it would have been nice to have won by more at Leicester. But I think we've shown that we can go to a big stadium. We are back to winning ways. We're back to scoring goals. So let's go to Arsenal and show them a really nice upset, because it will be an upset. And as I always say with cup games, there's kind of no pressure on us. If we go and lose, well, so what? Everyone thought we were going to lose, so we've not lost anything. Pardon the expression. But if we go and win, well, well done us. We've beaten Arsenal. If Arsenal win, well, that's no great achievement for them, because they were meant to win. And if they lose, it's fairly poor. So I think there's absolutely no pressure on us. We need to go out, take it to them in the first half, play with that intensity that we played with at the end of the Liverpool game, and I think we could get something out of it.
Yeah, I think that's a fair comment. Claire, do you think the best thing that could happen, in the Champions League game would be for Chelsea to kind of come back into that tie? Because I think obviously, you want it to be as intense on or intensive on Arsenal's, legs and minds and stuff as possible. Arguably the 3-1 result puts them on a good footing. But if Chelsea can get a goal back, then they're going to start coming under a lot of pressure and stuff. So do you think that would really help us if Chelsea can make that a proper tie in the week?
Well, it's not going to do us any harm, is it, if Arsenal get run ragged for 90 minutes and then maybe even take into extra time? Would be quite nice. But I think, like Abby, I don't think they'll play this team against us on Sunday. I think they'll play a weakened team for Arsenal. It'll still be a good team. But I think that, your usual suspects will probably sit on the bench or have a day off if they've been run ragged by Chelsea on Wednesday. But if Chelsea beat them, if Chelsea do, pull off a miracle and beat them and knock them out, then the FA Cup becomes very, very serious for them. So, yes, I would like Chelsea to get a couple of goals, take them to extra time, and then get walloped in the second period of extra time so that Arsenal win it. That would work perfectly for us, I think. Then we get a nice little... They don't get much of a break. They've got to come and play. They're going to have to play some of their second-string players. On our day, we can beat anyone. We know that. We've done it. So we just have to turn up. Like Abby said, we've got nothing to lose. Have them. Go for it. If we turn up and we sit back and we let them play, then we're going to get walloped. So, it doesn't matter how good our defence is. They are proven goal scorers, and they will knock 5 past you quite easily if you sit back and let them play. So you have to go there and you have to take it to them. And you have to really, really just be first to every ball. You've got to kick the shit out of them. You've got to really make it uncomfortable for them. And if you do that, we've proven you beat them. It's that simple. Other teams have done it this season. If you go to them, you do not allow them to play. You make sure you get the ball first. Even if you have to take one for the team, you get the ball, you get the win. Why not? Why can't we nick it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is in theory, that's the mindset you go into every game with. But I think in the cup, it's all the more so because it is all down to that one single game. There's no point in, holding something back.
There's no point being tactical about it and being all like, we've got a draw, we've got an extra point. You're out potentially with.
Yeah, you're either in or you're out, aren't you?
So you're in or you're out. You've got to play. You've got to go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben, do you think it being at Boreham Wood helps us a little bit, or do you think I know that Arsenal have been playing, they played their sort of Champions League qualifiers there. I think they've played every FA Cup tie. They might have only had one actually, but FA Cup ties are going to be held there, so that's why we're playing there. So it's not like it's completely alien to them. They've played there for a long time, but do you think, it not being at the sort of massive cavernous stadium, might play into our hands a little bit?
It might do. I think the pitch is smaller, isn't it? I think the Emirates is one of the biggest pitches in the country, which is weird because Highbury always was quite famous for being one of the smallest. So it's kind of weird when they switched. But yeah, I suppose, as you say, they're not necessarily as used to playing there as they are playing at the Emirates. I think the pitch is pretty similar to the one at Broadfield.
That's what I'm thinking.
It looked pretty terrible last year during when they were playing in the rain in the Champions League the other week. So yeah, I think it could do. I suppose it's quite a sort of atmosphere, isn't it? They got their little north bank at the north end, obviously, which is closer to the pitch than the stuff at the Emirates and things like that. So it's smaller, but it is still quite a cauldron.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, I think it could help us out a bit because it's more of a stadium that we're used to. But I think as the others say, I think it really depends on what happens on Wednesday, how they come out of that. It's very interesting that they played on Saturday, having played on Wednesday. And so did, because that was one of the things Man United got hammered by Man City, and that's one of the things I've never heard Mark Skinner complain after a game before. But he was moaning about it being so soon after their Champions League game. So obviously, Arsenal, was only like 3 days after their Champions League game as well. So that was a bit strange, really. So almost that's because obviously this weekend there's 2 games on Sunday and there's 2 games on Monday, it being Easter Monday. I'm surprised that we haven't got one of the Monday games because Arsenal playing Champions League. But yeah, they're leading 3-1. But as the guy said, if Chelsea get 1 back and if they can get 2 back, then game on, and we could get extra time. penalties would be nice, that sort of thing. And I think they haven't got a huge injury crisis, but they have got a slightly wobbly squad at the moment. I think certain people, obviously Leo Williamson's been out for a while now.
They've got a very, very depleted squad, but they're a bit like us. They started the season a couple of players light, and then as they've got injuries, they've been in big positions. I think they've only got like 5 midfielders.
So you never know. They might not be able to rest people, because again, it's one of those things. Like I was saying before, that people complaining about, like Leo Williamson complaining about getting too much football. So, nothing says that you have to play every single game unless Arsenal want to put out their best 11 every single game because they want to win every single game. So everybody has to play every game. But if you want to rotate the squad a bit, then maybe you don't win every game, or you don't. So it's difficult to say, I suppose. I mean, they did hammer Tottenham, but then Tottenham did score twice, which isn't something they often do. So. Obviously Beth England and one, an own goal from Frida Mornham, but I think if Mornham doesn't header that, then Tandberg does. So that was a goal whoever got onto it. So they're not infallible. So I think we've got a chance.
Reasons to be optimistic, anyway. I think little avenues that we could exploit, and I think probably a bit like when we beat them at the Broadfield, we need to take our chances. We might only get 3 or 4 chances during the game, so we need to score as many. It's not like a Leicester where we're going to get sort of multiple opportunities to get in their box and stuff. So it becomes and that was one of the things that I thought we did really well in that game against Broadfield, and probably the reason why we won is it just felt like every shot that we had pretty much went in. When we needed players like Cankovic to remain composed, she remained composed and dinked it over the keeper from a really awkward angle or whatever. Whereas like in other games, maybe it's not her that's there and it just gets blasted at the keeper, or or maybe even she blasts it at the keeper. But it just felt like in that game everything we did came off, and it was like a sort of perfect storm type thing. So I think we need a bit of that, and then we also need Arsenal to obviously be either tired from the midweek or a little bit mentally. I think if Chelsea come back, that's the other thing to think about, is they'll have this mentality of, oh my goodness, we were 3-1 up, we've now gone out of the Champions League, we're now desperate to qualify for next year's Champions League. Who gives a monkeys about the FA Cup? We can hope. But like I said, I think all really good points, and all routes that we need to take advantage to if we're going to beat a team like Arsenal away from home. Because as long as it had been that we hadn't beaten them at all, it's been even longer since we beat them at their place. So it will be a tough ask, obviously. Of course, I need to get predictions, so I'm coming round. Just a quick update. We do have a jingle for Claire for her 4-0. However, I haven't had time to make the video. So, but if you go, Claire, you can tell people where to find your video.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, if you follow my Instagram account for football, I think I'm just Stevo on that one. You'll find, you can't miss it.
Yeah, there's a little preview of Claire's.
You can't miss it. It's I mean, are you playing it now?
I can't, because do you know what? There isn't an option to do audio without video. Well, I need to design a video. Here we go. Yeah, I love it.
Fabulous. Yeah. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah. And
she didn't play it hardly any at all on the way to Leicester.
I mean, I'll have to send you the whole song, Claire, because obviously it's a full.
Has it got a full
3-minute song?
Oh,
I just obviously had to trim it down, because a 3-minute intro is probably not a great thing.
It. You'll have to tell me where you get them made, because honestly, I'll be on there all day making
Oh,
songs.
definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can do I think 5 free a day, and then you pay with whatever.
Oh, fabulous.
But yeah, it's great fun. So obviously Ben's got his, which you might hear later on. And Abby's got one because, as we all know, I always throw it to Abby with an awkward question. So Abby's is all about awkward questions. So again, I just need to make a video, and I might need to get some photos of Abby sort of looking puzzled or like, something like that. So that work in progress. But yeah, I just thought I'd mention that while we were on the predictions front. Well, Claire, I might as well start with you in that case. Are you indeed going for 4-0?
I mean, I'd love to. I'd love to. And, you know, but we did beat them. We scored 4 last year. Like, it's not that it's not impossible. You know, Chankovic's still there. Kirby's still there. Who scored our other 2 last season? Kiko. Yeah. They're all still there.
Chankovic scored 2, I think, didn't she?
Chankovic scored 2, that's it. And Fran and then Kiko. So, you know, there's no reason why we couldn't score 4, but I'll take 1. I'll take 1-0. 1-0.
1-0.
Let's sneak it.
Okay. I like it. I feel like that probably is going to be the route we have to go down, especially with our personnel at the moment. Yeah. It feels like if we go toe to toe with them, as they say, that it feels like we might be on the losing end of that one. But yeah, it feels like maybe we can leverage our very strong defense, perhaps, and you know, that's the way to do it. Let's go to Abby next. Abby, we've got a 1-0. You can go for 1-0 if you want. No.
In the spirit of podcast predictions, I think whatever it is, I think it's going to be a goal either way, and I'm going to go for us to win 2-1.
Okay. 2-1. There we go. Well, as we often have said on the podcast, we have only lost a game by 1 goal once this season, I think. There's a bot. I don't know if that does that include cup games as well? Probably does, doesn't it? I'm just trying to think.
Charlton got 1 goal. West Ham
was 2-1.
2-1. Yeah. So literally, we've only lost 1 game all season by more than 1 goal, and that was Chelsea at home. So, yeah, I mean, 2-1. If you're going to go for a win, I've heard a product.
I'm trying to look to see what all of our scores are, and every time I go on it, because I left it open on the bloody Instagram, it just started playing it again. Right, it's off.
You're trying to get it released, aren't you, Claire? As a single, you're trying to put it in everyone's head.
I want it played all over Insta.
Yeah,
Brighton to play it.
We'll make them all available.
If we win 4-0, Brighton have to play it. That's what I say.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say you have to sing it.
I might do by then.
Okay, so we've got a 2-1 and a 1-0. Ben, how about yourself?
I was going to go 1-0, then I was going to go 2-1.
There is an avenue in which we win that hasn't been explored yet. If you want to do some lateral thinking.
On the pens.
You mean on penalties?
Or extra time.
I'm going to say we're going to win 2-0, actually.
2-0.
I think we've got the players that can score against Arsenal, and we've got the defence that can stop them.
Yeah.
Chelsea beat us 3-0. That's the big defeat we've had so far.
Yeah, and the only one where we've lost by more than 1. So, like you say, we've always kept it respectable, even when we have lost. Okay. Well, yes, that's very kind of you, Ben, to be benevolent then, because I'm going to go 1-1. Now, do I go? Yeah, I better go penalties, hadn't I? Because I guess if it was extra time, then we'd still win like 2-1, wouldn't we? So, yes. So I'll go 1-1, and we'll win 4-2 on penalties. I'll throw that out there. If that happens, I'm going to blooming wish I had a bet on it, because I bet the odds are astronomical of that. So yeah, there we go. Well, we're all going for a win, so that's good. But yeah, I think I don't know what the there are some tickets still available. So if anyone's interested in going, then do buy a ticket. And obviously there are still some spaces on the coach. I think it's about half full at the moment. So for a couple of hours, you'll have a bit of room to roam around, go and talk to other people and stuff. So do jump on the coach if you fancy it. And I think we are going to be secreted away in that little corner of the ground, I think, but we're obviously hoping, like last time, that one of the seated areas is kind of opened up on the day for us to sit in.
Well, that on the ticket thing, it just says standing only, and then that's sort of
it always says standing only,
whatever, accessible seating or whatever. So whereas when last time I went to Bournemouth anyway, last game of the season a couple of years ago, they in fact it was last game of last season, wasn't it? Or was no anyway. A couple of years ago, they basically we thought we were going to be standing, and they said, "Oh no, you're over there."
Which is I think what we do to people, actually, to be fair, isn't it? But Crawley is like,
I think basically because the Arsenal fans took our standing places.
Yeah. Oh right. Okay. Yeah. Well, it could be. Yeah.
That could be the case this time.
Either way, we'll be on our feet. Either because we
have
to
the 2 goals we're scoring.
One way or another, at some point we'll be on our feet. So
I'm bringing a cushion. I'm sitting down on that step.
Definitely. Yeah. You're going to bring your little stool?
Might do, but I don't trust it, to be fair.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% that's going to hold my backside on it without collapsing.
You have to give it a few tests at home.
I know.
In the privacy of your own domicile.
Couldn't I? I could injure myself and then not be able to go. So, I think I might just take a cushion and just.
Can you imagine explaining that to A&E?
Exactly. Oh, I did have one little thought going back to the Leicester game, and just to do a little shout out to other Ben, who not just at the Leicester game but actually at our home games as well, is absolutely phenomenal at getting the crowd singing and chanting. Because we've not been. I've noticed we've not been quite as loud recently. And Ben will get it going with, give us a B and, get everyone. And he's up and he's really encouraging them all. So, well done, Ben. Keep it up because it does make a difference.
Yeah, definitely. I don't, no one will take offence or anything like that if someone else wants to get up and do a chant or a song or whatever. So, the more the merrier, and it's great that Ben is happy to sort of fill that role, if others aren't there or even if others are there. So yes, well done. He's too modest to say it himself, so we'll have to thank him on our behalf. So well done, and well done to everyone who chants and gets involved in the atmosphere. And even if you're not brave enough to start them yourself, then just joining in loudly and proudly makes all the difference. So
exactly.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes. Right. Do we have a loan report for this week, Ben?
We do. He said, bracing himself.
Right, hold on then. Bear with. Here we go.
Ben on the ball, Ben on the mic, talking women's football every day, every night, from the first big tackle to the last late goal. Ben's got the game, Ben's got the soul.
And we're back. Honestly, it might not be as good as Claire's one, but it's very earwormy.
Earwormy. They're all earwormy.
There's something about Ben on the ball, which just... Yeah. Yes, home report.
Anyway. Excuse me. Right. Actually, there's not much to report in the UK.
Okay.
Rangers, it's the Sky Sports Cup final, which I think is the Scottish League Cup, basically, between Rangers and Glasgow City, and Rangers were beaten 2-1 by Glasgow City. So, commiserations, Jess. She's got a silver medal, but she didn't play. So that's why, you idiots. So I mean, she's sat on the bench in a cup final. She's getting good experiences, if nothing else, and she's got a finalist's medal, so that's something to. But I don't know what's going on, because she was one of their best players in the first half of the season, and she's not been playing much recently.
Could it be that it was a Scottish Cup final, so they thought they had to field a team full of...
Yeah, because Lee Meng-Wen didn't get any minutes either.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, could be.
Evie Evie Milner, no relation, didn't get any minutes for Pompey, which is why they were beaten 2-1 away by Sheffield United. And again, they look like they're in trouble again. I mean, that might have been Sheffield United sort of like cementing their sort of WSL2 status for next season, but Pompey are still bottom. But luckily for them, Ipswich and Durham both lost, so they're still in touch with the teams above them, even though they've got they have played more games. Olivia Johnson, I don't know, she wasn't in the Forest squad, not even on the bench. Oh no, sorry, she was on the bench, but didn't get any minutes. Forest beat Durham 2-1, which is obviously doing Pompey a favour. And again, Libby Bantz, my excitement of her being back on the bench again last week. She wasn't on the bench for Birmingham this week. They beat Bristol City 1-0, which is very interesting because Charlton were beaten. So now Birmingham are only like 3 points behind Charlton with a game in hand. So, and that would have, if Charlton had won, they would have basically guaranteed promotion. One first or second, and they didn't. So it's still all to play for on top of that, and it'd be nice to see Brum come up as champions. So that's about it for the UK. Not really much to report there. But if we live across the North Sea, start with Liv Garcia playing at AIK because the Swedish season started this weekend. Their sort of regular sort of league season. Obviously, they've been playing their League Cup games, for which the final, as we mentioned last week, is mid-May for some reason. But yes, AIK played Norrköping and they won 1-0. Again, it wasn't Liv Garcia that scored, but I think she played pretty much most of the game. I'm not sure. I haven't seen. They're not quite as good on the socials and on the sort of information and stuff as other teams are here. AIK, but yeah, she definitely did start and played and stuff. So, so that's good. Again, getting good experience and stuff. And Melina has even more to report over at Hammarby because they played midweek. Forget which day, but they played Sparta Prague away in Prague and beat them 3-2. So obviously they've got the next leg of that next week. This coming week. So obviously that's going to be at home for them as well. So hopefully she might well have herself a European final. And as we said last week, it does look like it's going to be against Hacken because they beat Eintracht Frankfurt 3-0 in their first leg.
Swedish football, very strong.
Yeah, so they might well have two finals and both of them against Hacken. And then again, Hammarby started their league season and they beat Rosengard 3-1. And Rosengard couldn't get the ball past Melina, so one of her teammates decided she might help out instead. It was one of those ones. I mean, basically they were 1-on-1 with Melina, and she forced them to cross it. And I was unlucky that the Hammarby defender sort of hammered it into her own net instead of wide or over the bar or whatever. So unlucky, but yeah, I mean they're 3-1, very nice, lovely jubbly, and they're second in the league after one game because somebody else scored more than. I think somebody else won 3-0. But yeah, I mean, that's starting well for both our kids over there in Sweden, which is nice. And I suppose speaking of kids in Sweden, I mean, she's not ours, but we talked about Arsenal sort of preferring to lend players out to Scandinavia where they'll actually get decent minutes. And Vivian Leas played and she scored for Hammarby after 4 minutes. And then got an assist after 9. So player of the match, etc. And so she's getting some very good experience over there. So I think if we've got a relationship with some of these Swedish clubs now, we ought to be farming out some of our academy graduates over there instead of just so they can sit on the bench at Forest.
Yeah, it does seem to be more of a productive avenue, doesn't it? And the Swedish team sort of, rather than see it as a burden, see it as an opportunity.
Yeah,
whereas I think in the WSL2 at the moment, it's almost like, oh God, well, I suppose we could do with a backup. So and it's like,
it's like with I think we said before about Liv Johnson's at Forest, and are Forest looking at promotion, or are they trying to get that last promotion spot? So they'd be like, well, do we risk this? Do we risk this young lone player when we really need to win this game? So yeah, it's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's kind of, you know, like I said, she's our player. She's just going to sit on the bench. She might as well do it down here.
Yeah, absolutely. Or get some minutes in our academy squad or whatever. You know, we should be playing with her sort of, you know, her teammates and stuff that she knows and getting minutes on the pitch. Whereas, you know, for Forest, I mean, she's sitting on the bench, but she's presumably not turning out in any meaningful competition. So at least the PGA League is somewhat, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, Liv went to the World Cup with the under-17s, but she's now not playing. So how's she going to get spotted by the under-19s? It's
yeah, exactly. Right. Any other business that anyone can think of? Have I completely forgotten to mention anything? Or
just there's a couple of international squads coming out, aren't there?
Oh yes, yeah. I saw Caitlin made the Irish squad.
In the Ireland squad. Rachel McLaughlin's in the Scotland squad. I'm not sure how many others. England seniors is announced tomorrow, Tuesday, as we're recording, and the under 23s and under are going to be announced on Wednesday. So I don't know how hopeful we are about anyone getting in that squad.
Probably more hopeful for the unders than we are for the main, aren't we? But yeah, we shall see. We shall see. More news on that, I suppose, next week when we find out. But yeah, I think if there's nothing else, then that should round off this week's show. We've come in at an exceptionally tight 1 hour and 26 minutes. So bonus for everyone else has got an extra half an hour they thought they didn't have today. So that's good. Yeah, remember you can find us always at SheGulls on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and on Instagram, which is run by Steve Gibbs over there in Germany. Very kind of him. You can obviously find us at SheGulls.com, and that's where all our links to everything else that we do are. So, you know, if you remember only one thing, either at SheGulls or SheGulls.com, perfect. You'll find all the stuff you need to find. You can also email us direct at SheGullsPodcast@outlook.com. We're also on Facebook, so you can head over there, search for SheGulls Podcast, and it should pop right up. And of course, as always, whilst you're over there, do give Brighton Women fans a follow for more generalised Albion chat. Also, big thank you, as always, to our Patreon members and supporters. So Ben and Jess, thank you so much for being patrons. And of course, to Tim and Joe, who have donated very generously and separately. So yes, thank you very much to them. And all that remains for me to say then is a massive thank you to our Albion supporters with me tonight. So I shall say an enormous thank you to you, Ben.
Thank you all.
A humongous thank you to you, Claire.
Thanking you.
And a gigantic thank you to you, Abby.
Thank you.
And I shall say this has been the SheGulls Podcast, powered by Albion Obsessed. Good night, everyone.
Good night.